On July 26, 1909, the SS Warada, a large and well-equipped passenger ship, was sailing from Cape Town to Durban. Captained by James Parker, the ship was carrying more than 200 passengers and crew on their way to Durban for a summer vacation. The weather in the area was very unfavorable. Strong storms and giant waves made it very difficult for ships to move. However, Captain Parker, who had traveled this route for years, was confident and believed that he could take the ship to its destination. But at around 6 p.m. that day, the SS Warada suddenly disappeared. No trace of the ship, passengers, or crew was found. It was as if the earth had opened its mouth and swallowed everyone. The news of the disappearance of this great ship quickly reached everyone's ears, and a wave of worry and sadness appeared throughout South Africa. The families and relatives of the passengers and crew rushed to the shores with false hope to hear news about their loved ones. But no trace of the SS Warada was found. The South African Navy immediately began searching for the missing ship. Warships and lifeboats were dispatched to the scene in hopes of finding any sign of the SS Warada or its survivors. But the efforts were unsuccessful, and finally, the search operation was stopped. Weeks passed, but there was no news of the missing ship. Families and mourners were still waiting for the return of their loved ones. But hope was lost, and everyone concluded that the SS Warada and all on board had mysteriously disappeared. The disappearance of the SS Warada remains the most mysterious maritime mystery in history. It was not possible to find any part of this ship, not even a piece of wood or the remains of the passengers. It was as if the SS Warada had completely sunk into the sea. Several investigations were conducted to discover the cause of the disappearance of this great ship. But every attempt failed, and the story remained mysterious and unsolved. Some believe that the SS Warada had sunk in a severe storm. But the storms of that day, although they were strong, did not sink such a well-equipped ship. Other ships had reached their destination safely in those weather conditions. Others suggested that the ship may have hit underwater rocks and sunk. However, the search diving teams did not find any traces of impact with the rocks. Another hypothesis was that there was a technical defect in the ship that led to its sinking. However, experts' reviews showed that the SS Warada was technically sound and seaworthy. Finally, another theory that came up was that the ship may have been overloaded and sunk due to improper loading. However, this hypothesis was also rejected by the experts because the loading of the ship was allowed according to the regulations. And finally, after many years, this story remains with many mysteries. It was October 1775 when the Herald ship collided with a strange large boat. The crew of the Great Herald assumed that the boat had accidentally hit their ship due to adverse weather conditions and therefore decided to investigate it closely. They come to the strange Octavius and find out why there is no movement on the deck of this ship. To understand the story of the Octavius ship, we must go back to 1761, when the ship's voyage began. That is, exactly 14 years before it was discovered by the Herald ship. This ship, with 28 skilled sailors, had started its journey from the port of London to the great country of China. We go back to 1775 and the time of the Herald ship. The Herald crew was a little scared but decided to go inside the boat. Below the deck of the ship, a terrible sight appeared before their eyes. They found 28 sailors frozen and motionless with bodies of water. All the crew were trembling with fear, but still, they decided to go to the ship's captain's office. When the Herald's crew arrived at Captain Octavius' room, they also found him frozen to death behind his desk. The very strange thing about the story of the Octavius ship is that the captain of this ship was still holding his pen, which showed that they froze very quickly and in an instant. The Herald crew reported in their reports that these bodies were models in an art museum in London. When the ship Octavius set sail in 1761, the captain carefully recorded the date of their departure in his diary. This document was found in his desk drawer 14 years later, even though it was last written in 1762. What happened to the 13 years between 1762 and 1775? Fearing that they were aboard a ghost ship, the Herald's crew quickly left the Octavius and returned to the vicinity of their ship. According to those who believe this story is true, the entire crew was doomed to freeze because of the captain's mistake. According to this version of the story, Captain Octavius decides to do the impossible. He decides to cross the famous and infamous Northwest Passage, which no one crosses, and because of this decision, he kills all the sailors of this ship. 2.5 centuries is a long time to tell a true story. The ship was stuck to a large iceberg for about 2.5 months, and because of this, all its people froze and perished. But it is not yet clear why the captain of the ship was still sitting at his desk and even had his pen in his hand. Additionally, many legends say that Octavius was able to cross the Northwest Passage, but then turned into a ghost ship. But about a century after Octavius' ship was found, another ship tried to pass safely through this passage and succeeded. During this trip, I saw strange things with my own eyes. I have seen a pastor who disappeared because of a robbery at a food stall. I saw an elderly gentleman who, with poor hygiene, sneaked out at night to urinate on the carpet in the hallway. We wondered about it. He must have been mentally ill in some way. There is no other way to explain it. A Russian nobleman, suffering from war experiences, knocked out his wife with a straight punch to the face during the captain's dinner. He then hurried to his cabin and drank, then tried to jump overboard. I was sick of this scene I saw. Meanwhile, his wife wiped her tears and went to the cabin with her 2 small children, and drank and got drunk as much as she could. Another man I think of politely informed the crew that he had booked the cruise to enjoy the view, do some shore fishing, and drink yourself to death. His wife had left him. After 4 days of drinking and no sleep, he started hallucinating, so we had to strap him to his bed. It ended happily, I might add. His wife made contact with him and everyone was happy again. And I saw other things that I couldn't believe. However, the ugliest thing I've seen on ships is not the behavior of the passengers. These are the situations where the captain takes the money meant for the hardworking crew and pockets it for himself. This is very rare, fortunately. Sometimes I think about all the things that have happened, and I don't want to have fun with the ship anymore.